Hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome to my overview of Stellar Blade. A little bit outside of my wheelhouse today. I generally just cover stuff on Steam. However, this is a bit of a cultural zeitgeist title. It's PlayStation 5 exclusive, so I bit the bullet, picked it up, and I thought I'd check it out for myself and figure out, in amongst all the muck and the back and forth politics and crap around it, if there was actually a good game underneath. So if you're not across it, I do reviews and overviews pretty much daily on the channel, and when I do an overview, I just look at the first 2 hours of the game. It's a short, punchy video, try and keep it under 10 minutes and give you the broad stroke info, so you're more informed and stuff's on your radar. And the 2 hours is because Steam reckons you can refund after 2 hours and make up your mind if you're going to keep a game or not, which I kind of agree with. I doubt you're going to change your mind 20 hours in if you weren't really sold on it 2 hours in. So yes, it's a PlayStation. I don't know what PlayStation's refund policy is, whatever, but we'll stick with the format because it's what I do. So far, what do I think? Is it worth your time, worth your money? Well, I mean, that's a little bit tricky because I paid out 140 Australian dollar dues for this. I got, I guess, like some sort of pre-order advance crap with extra skins, and normally I don't really go in for any of that nonsense, but this game, the whole sex appeal and character model and the outfit she's wearing is kind of the battleground that social media is taking place over, so I thought, I might as well get it properly. I'll get that crap out of the way as well, right? Because even though I try really not to be terminally online myself, I also realize that I'm still a lot closer to that crap than just the general normie that I want to be. Essentially, it's coming out of Shift Up, some sort of a South Korean dev studio, and they have a main character called Eve, and she's, well, I was gonna say hypersexualized, but I don't really think that's the case, but that's the sort of argument around it. That's the discourse. Broadly speaking, a lot of the mainstream media that a lot of us normies have grown to really quite dislike, at least peripherally, are yelling and screaming and upset that it's not a realistic woman, to which I say, go fuck yourself. Like, at the end of the day, gamers gonna game, it's escapism. And I do find it a bit rich that people can champion, weeks worth of articles of having sex with bears in Baldur's Gate because, I don't know, they've decided that game is okay and it's on their side of history or whatever. And yet they will sort of lambast this for having what is essentially a fit, good-looking chick wearing sexy, skimpy outfits. I don't like to weigh in on it terribly, but I do want to try and inform you because you're probably a normal person that doesn't give a shit about any of this. But it will never cease to amaze me how the progressive voices in the gaming bubble in that industry have become so conservative on topics of, I don't know, the male gaze and sexy ladies and all that sort of stuff. I wonder to myself, where were these guys when bloody Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball was out, which was a pretty fucking great game, by the way. Anyway, so that's the whole thing. Game's evil, game's bad because sexy lady in a leotard. What do I reckon? I reckon it's actually a pretty cool game. I'm having a lot of fun with it so far, and it certainly doesn't hurt. This sexy chick's jumping around. But I'll tell you one thing that's really cool actually about it is it's played straight, right? It's not like it's just upskirt camera shots or crude lowbrow humor, which you can get out of both Western and Asian development spaces. I mean, I guess this isn't Japanese, so they probably have different sensibilities in their design, but it's just totally played straight. It's never referenced, not so far at least, it's still early days. So as far as I'm concerned, it's just an artistic design choice, whatever. I think, they haven't really gone into the story too much, but you might be some sort of bloody insert soul in the machine sort of thing. They refer to her body as her bloody exo rig or some crap like that, right? So I don't even know if she's really a chick or, maybe she's just some sweaty bloody WoW player sitting in a chair remotely controlling her. Who really knows? Who really cares? And that's the whole point. All of this controversy has been such a nothing burger. And it's kind of tragic that I've spent so long talking about it. But yeah, look, we'll put a bow on it. It's done. It's played so straight that honestly, half the time you don't even notice. Like, it's different when you're watching a video on YouTube, whatever, but when you're playing with the controls with what is a pretty engaging combat loop, which I will now get to, you zone it out, right? It is interesting. It sits between a Souls-like and a kind of character action game. So it's not a pure Souls-like, because what it's missing from that space is kind of more hardcore or core even RPG elements. It doesn't really have, strength, dexterity and all that, and you don't have weapons that you swap out and that sort of thing, right? It's very much fixed move set in a skill tree that you get XP against, but you don't drop souls or anything like that. However, you do have sort of like campfires that reset baddies and have like a 3-charge Estus. So it has some of those sensibilities, but broadly speaking, it's a fairly linear adventure. There are side areas and they're pretty overtly marked, and it's satisfying. The shortcuts are actually just pretty obvious. You'll find one-way gates and then you go up, you do a side area, you loop back around and you go through the gate. And so it's not quite as obfuscated and sort of exploration type as you would see in a Souls-like game, going out in different directions perhaps and then sort of pushing the main path. No, this has a main path with side bits that loop back on themselves. So yes, it's simpler, but it's actually really satisfying. It's kind of clean. But yeah, so you have a couple of different skill trees. You sort of have like, what are they called? Bloody beta moves or something like that. They're like EX bar charge shots. The game is very big on parrying and dodging to a point. Kind of reminds me a little bit more of all the things like Batman combat interplay. It's definitely more nuanced. It's not about like crowd-based Arkham brawling, but what I'm getting at is with that there are very specific movesets like knives, and you have to use dodges and you have to use parries for certain enemies. There is specific interplay, and that's what's in this as well. So if you do go in with a Souls-like mindset, which you might not be able to help, like I don't ever block really in Souls games. I generally just play a dodge build and build around it. That's not what this is. Again, it's got more character action. So more combo brawler. There are combo chains that you memorize, and there are certain attacks that you really want to dodge, and there are certain that you really want to parry. And I like that. It's more of a puzzle than well, at least everyone plays Souls-like games differently, but for me it's more about brute force and bringing the game to heel under the under the iron fist of the build that I've decided to go with, right? Sort of try and beat it into submission, whereas this is more about solving the combat puzzle, and it's very, very satisfying. A couple of downsides that I noticed, but they're almost genre specific. The environments are just bland, post-apocalyptic Earth, crappy destroyed office complexes, and I just feel like this must be an Asian development trope thing. I think of like Nier Automata, which everyone loves and heralds, and I should go back and play it some more. But when I did play it back in the day, that's the thing that struck me, is like the bloody French maid chick looks great, but the environments look like dog shit. And, this isn't quite that bad, but it is one of those things when they've done so much work into making the characters look absolute mint. Like, even the enemy designs are quite cool in their disgusting kind of way. But, if you're going to put 9/10 of your budget into making this chick sexy, it kind of contrasts against what is fairly average backgrounds. It doesn't actually faze me that much, but it is noticeable, especially when, and not to retread, it does hang its hat on the fidelity of the character. Bit jarring. Also, the soundtrack's weird as anything. Bloody lo-fi, I wouldn't say K-pop exactly, but I don't think it fits. But at the same time, I'm still finding myself humming this stupid bloody earworm that sounds more like, it would be in a lo-fi sessions on a club mix or something like that than an actual action video game soundtrack. So I guess it works. Maybe it's a bit of a culture shock, that's all. Anyway, I don't need to waffle anymore. I'm really enjoying it. Will I review it? There is a good chance. I really do want to narrow down and review more titles and just get through them, and it's very fun. The first boss was a good challenge, and I had a couple of runs at him and then beat him, and I'm enjoying playing outside of my comfort zone with a parry system that is very clean and fun, and just broadly speaking, I think this is great. So is it worth your time, worth your money? Early stages say yes. No bugs, no issues, no problems, unless you're some sort of culture warrior fucking prude, in which case you didn't make it this far anyway, so I'm not even going to talk about you. Maybe you could say it's overpriced, but this is it, AAA, fucking quadruple A. The price of games is going through the roof, I'm not necessarily going to single this one out specifically. Really tight, fun little game so far, being overshadowed by loud dickheads that are terminally online. Anyway, team, I might just leave it there for the time being. I'll catch you guys on the next one.